Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everyone, my name is Zaid Al-Mahdali. Welcome to the second session of Knowledge Sharing Series with Nama Foundation. And today, alhamdulillah, we have a very distinguished guest with us, the founder and the executive director of Zakat Foundation America, Mr. Halil Demir. Welcome, Mr. Halil.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Halil Demir. Alhamdulillah, I'm aware that this is your first time in Malaysia. Like you mentioned to me, 25 years too late. How did you find your few days in Malaysia?
Alhamdulillah, Malaysians are very welcoming, and as a society is also very, good, welcoming, and very open-minded. So I would say I find like I'm home. Actually, I didn't think that I'm a guest or I'm a tourist in this country. So I'm very proud of brothers and sisters in Malaysia, how beautifully they created a country. So I'm very, very pleasant.
MashaAllah, and I'm very aware that Mr. Halil has been all over, and that can be seen from the openness in trying our food as well. Yesterday you had Chef One's famous D1 restaurant. We had nasi lemak and we had all the good stuff, alhamdulillah. And just now we had a session with NGOs, and one of the important elements that you focused on was the unity of charitable organization, especially when they want to organize themselves to be seen internationally as well, not just to go individually, even though they are big, but when they come from one place, they should come together so they may benefit all of them, not just one organization, right? Why do you think it's very important for organizations to have that outlook?
Basically, I talked about the collective response. The collective response and the specialization of the organizations bring two things. One is that we collectively responding and literally like division of labor. Two, you have specialized organization, be it during the emergency response, be it in education. So collective response will be led by the organization which is specialized in that field. And that will make our effort much stronger, much more organized, and the best way to respond. And we get also the best for our bucks. The money is best used way. So collective lives or collective action, that's why it's very important, I believe.
And I think the collective response as well is something that the responses that I got from the NGOs just now, there was something that they said Malaysia has the big potential for that, but they have not been focusing on. And inshallah, hopefully from there, they will be. And maybe some of the things that we could learn from you, Mr. Halil, is in terms of the sustainability or strategies of making organizations sustainable. As you know, when you ask a lot of them just now, Malaysian NGOs, even the big ones, their main source of income is always the public. And of course, that has impact, but there's challenges in sustainability for that, right? How do you think these organizations can best strategize their outputs and their organization so that they can be more sustainable in the future?
I believe that you have to hold yourself to the core values of the organization, the mission of organization, what you are funded for, why you are existing. But some very time, you must try new ideas and new ways to implement the projects, but also fundraise. And so it is necessary for the organization to, have a strong impact. They must start thinking diversification of the fundraising. How do we diversify? Where and how do we reach to people that become convinced and support our causes. And only one way, if you are doing this fundraising, and only one source is that you try to sustain your program projects, might not be a long-lasting solution, because world changes, our society changes, the communities are changing, the need changes. So therefore, you might not be able to, what you raised 2 years ago, be able to raise again same amount of money today for same program maybe, or close program. So therefore, you have to have that diversified, you have to have that strategic move and change while you go. Stick to core values, but same time make changes, innovative way, new ways that you can raise funds and sustain the organization and organization programs.
Definitely, I think so. I think the good output from what you said just now is definitely to strategize the programs, not just for the short term, but also for the long term.
Yes.
And last question before we move on to light question is Malaysia. One of the things that was mentioned just now is that a lot of the organizations here work locally. Mostly the extent they go is regionally, or they will go to Gaza. But internationally, a lot of the Malaysian NGOs, they don't position themselves in international stage, right? How would you suggest to them, or what are the best ways for them to position themselves to be more known internationally for Malaysian organizations?
I think not necessarily any or every organization has to be internationally recognized. Most important is that your mission. You establish this organization, and this organization has a mission. Why? Why did you build? What's your goal? What you're trying to achieve? When you stick these values, what that this organization was built for, eventually you might move, try to impact larger communities and so. But that should not be your goal. Two things. One is the donors determine where you and what you have to do. Two, the organization decide where you would like to work or not, right? So basically, sometimes you have, let's say Gaza. So I'm sure in Gaza, because of sensitivity of the Palestine, the occupation, and all that, what human tragedy happening in Gaza, consciousness, the collective consciousness in this country is very much awake, very much aware what's going on in Gaza, and sensitive. So they try to help. So where do you go? Who do you call? Well, the organization that you know. You call, hey, is there anything you guys do in Gaza? I would like to participate. I would like to volunteer. I would like to give money. And that is where society moves you, what you have to do. It forces you literally, right? So, and that's why you have some organization you work in Palestine or attempt to go to Palestine and so forth, right? The other one is that organization. You have a goal. You are good in education. You are good in vocational training. You are good in agrology. You support the farmers, how to grow coffee, and how their coffee will be best coffees, how they take care of the cheese, and all that comes along. So that is what your organization does. So you don't need to be, I don't know, let's say in Kazakhstan or Tajikistan. There's not too much coffee to grow there. So you will be rather in areas where you have a coffee farmer that you would like to help them to develop community as sustainable development, also environmentally conscious communities and programs. And so you don't want to go to Gaza. It's like literally, it's not, you stick to that, let other people do. What did we say? Specialization of the organization is the best way to do. If you have money, you would like to Gaza, let other people do that in Malaysia and support. But you grow coffee, you are coffee farmers organization, then you stick to that.
Understood.
Makes sense, I hope.
Makes sense, yeah. And an interesting part that you mentioned just now is that, and maybe you could advise more on this as well, a lot of the outlook that people sometimes don't realize is that when you mention the specialization of NGOs, it's actually very similar to the concepts of Wakaf in the Ottoman times as well.
True.
The wakafs always go very specific. Like for example, if I'm not mistaken, one of the wives of the Ottoman sultans, until now, her wakafs still feed birds in Istanbul.
That's true.
And I think it relates to how the NGO should operate nowadays. Right?
That's true.
And yeah, how do you think we could implement that in the outdoor understanding from the people?
Basically, you stick to a mission. So everybody has a love. So Miss Donna rescued the birds and wild birds, right? So and she knows every bird rescuer in Chicago. So exchange bird, and they find the owner for the bird and so forth. So she stick that one. So, and I'm thinking, if we have organization specialized in certain programs, and sometimes these programs that turn into being fantastic, like think of the organization Habitat for Humanity. So even though it was founded in the United States for the animals and so take care of the horses and so, but eventually now they build homes and so forth, so right, like diversify their programs. But eventually they started with one program and stick to that program. And I think we need Muslim organization in every region. So you have certain programs. South of Malaysia or north of Malaysia, you have organization that stick one project that they are good and known with it. Let these projects be, taking care of the butterflies. Okay, by creating little areas and sanctuaries for these birds. I'm sorry, for the butterflies, make beautiful, and then go to the next one and go to the next one and open these places for the children. And so educate them about this is what it is. You don't need to worry about food packages. Let food packages be done by other organizations.
Understood. Agree. And I think exactly like you mentioned, Mrs. Donna, because she's passionate about birds, for example. And it's the same with the Sultana.
Oh, yes.
She was passionate about birds at the time. Yep. And she put her wakaf into that. And I think that is a good approach, especially not just for big organizations, but for individuals as well, right?
Yes.
To approach.
And also for community. Because not everybody in a community, in a society that will like, maybe doesn't have financial ability, and so give only one cause. But when we diversified, these services and making a society better place, then you will find so many organizations that need it, necessary in order to make society a beautiful place, make this country and make world a beautiful, right? And very important that we, when we look, stick to one that we love and say, this program, and then maybe second one. But you don't need to try to do everything because you're not going to be successful or provide, you might exist by doing a bunch of small program, but your impact will never going to be able to change anything in society.
Yep. Especially like they say, a jack of all trades is the master of none, right?
Yep.
You have to focus on that. And I think that's the main
so true.
Inshallah. And I think that's the main thing that I think we should learn from, is to not just organization, funders, foundations, individuals, communities, should always focus on one niche and make change there. Inshallah. And as a concluding question for you, Mr. Halil Demir, from your experiences in Malaysia, what are the cultural similarities that you've seen, or the cultural influences from the culture that you come from, that when you write to Malaysia, you see the similarities or the influences?
I think the strong and powerful civilization, if impacts communities, create also shared values and shared culture. So because Turkey, where I grew up, is a Muslim country. It's an Islamic civilization impacted society for over hundreds of years, almost thousands of years, 1,000 years. The Turks being a Muslim. So the values are our upbringing is shared in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we have similarity. So being a very welcoming society. So offering you tea or coffee or drink before you enter their homes is like ours. You come to our house, you will find the same things. and being respectful, taking our shoes out. That's something. Yeah, we have to leave our shoes outside as similarity, and the respect for elderly, people. As when you enter in our culture, when you are young, you will stand up and leave your place, right? So it's this tradition, and you can see in Malay society, is the same values that we share. So I think the civilization that has impacted our communities also create the shared values that we all share and cherish and enjoy to hold ourselves this beautiful tradition. And that's the Islamic values that we live by.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And your answer give me one more question, actually, that I think I should use this as the final concluding remark. As you yourself, Mr. Halil Demir, not just in terms of your career, but even as an individual, as you yourself, you're very, you yourself is very well exposed to the world, right? You grew up in southeastern Turkey, in Urfa, like you mentioned to me, a historical city where the Prophet Ibrahim came from, etc. You speak 6 languages, and you're very much exposed to the intellectual traditions of the world, right? And that is why what makes up you as a leader, that you were able to build Zakat Foundation America is what it is today. Your leadership, because of those exposures that you've had, you're able to lead it to what it is today. So as an advice to future coming leaders or future coming youth that are coming up the ranks, how would you advise them to prepare themselves to not everyone has to be leaders, but leaders in their own sense?
One thing is for sure, Zaid, that you have to work hard. 2, you have to read. 3, you have to be open, and you have to try, and you have to respect the tradition that the nations and families that learn throughout hundreds of years, even that you disagree, but you can learn from them. And you cannot be a cultural chauvinist. You have to understand that all other cultures has also something beautiful to offer. And if you hold yourself few things like that, open-minded, without any prejudices, you will learn a lot. And that's what exactly I think teaching of Islam is. Teaches us without any prejudices. When you look at Quran is from A to Z, from beginning to end, is a critical thinking book. Questions everything and try to guide you how do you answer these questions. What does Quran start with? He say, Iqra, read. So what does Quran ask you to read? Well, Quran asks you to read everything possibly you can. When everything we say is what you have to read the zoology, you have to read sociology, you have to read ethnology to learn about society, right? So at the same time, you have to read astronomy to the wisdom, the ayah, the verses of sign of the Creator, right? How he has that signature. So you have to read. So it's unfortunate that the holy book of the Muslims start with Iqra, read. Muslims don't like to read somehow, right? So it's unfortunate. So my advice would be my younger brothers and sisters that this is the way to go. So you have to work hard. You have to learn. You have to be open-minded. You have to have no prejudices and just stop. You have to learn. Listen before you try to judge or before you start to have your own opinion. Listen very carefully and without any prejudice, and so you will learn a lot.
MashaAllah, Mr. Halil Demir. With that, I think as my part, I think exactly like, especially for future leaders to come, it is about Iqra, it's about learning, it's about understanding, it's about implementing, and also about wondering, then searching for truth. And truth can come from the ayats or the signs of creation, right? And from there, you can implement in your lives, inshallah. So with that, thank you so much, our distinguished guest, Mr. Halil Demir, the Executive Director of Zakat Foundation America. Inshallah, hope to have you more in Malaysia.
Thank you. May Allah bless you, and Allah bless Malaysia, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.